I'm Allendale's chief meteorologist Ryan Martin with a look at your midday weather update. Looking at the latest surface map, we've seen a little bit of progress to the south and east of our cool front. It extends from central parts of Ontario south across northern Wisconsin. There's an area of low pressure that's right along the Minnesota-Iowa line. The front kind of hooks up with that and then continues on to the south and west into extreme northeastern parts of Colorado. So far, we haven't seen a lot of moisture associated with the front. There's a lot of clouds, but not much moisture. The moisture we have seen, though, has actually amplified over the course of the past 2 to 3 hours. There's now a nice line of rain and thunderstorm action in Wisconsin. Not so much back in Minnesota. There's scattered stuff back there, and then you've got scattered showers with a little more frequency over eastern parts of South Dakota. My thought process here is that as this front continues to move south and east, it's going to be difficult for the moisture to hold together. I won't completely rule out a few scattered showers over northern Illinois into Indiana and Ohio as we go overnight tonight through the day tomorrow, but I think the farther south and east you get, the less chance of action holding together that we see. Now, the one thing that could change that, this stuff bubbling up from the south. For example, we're seeing a nice big slug of moisture come north over parts of Alabama through western Georgia. Even seeing some action back into northeastern Arkansas and western Tennessee. This is flowing off the Gulf. If it's able to tap into this front at all, it might increase chances over the eastern Corn Belt. Right now, I think by the time the front gets so it can tap into this moisture, it's going to be through most of the eastern Corn Belt. So I'm going to keep an eye out down along the Ohio River, for example, maybe as we go through tomorrow afternoon, tomorrow evening for some action. But the rest of the Corn Belt, I think, is mostly dry. So, yeah, chance of moisture, but I wouldn't give it much of a chance. Then we're dry through the rest of this week. Temperatures are going to be a little bit cooler. Behind this front, it's very interesting to see what's happening over the northern plains. I can see temperatures getting down close to the freezing mark in eastern North Dakota tonight. Now, this air mass is going to modify as it moves south and east, so we're not looking at that same kind of cold air farther over the Corn Belt, but we are going to be talking about some frost potential in the Red River Valley, for example, up in North Dakota and even northwestern parts of Minnesota. So you just can see that this is a cooler air mass. Temperature is probably normal to slightly below. But this is not something that's going to last long term. As a matter of fact, as we go toward the end of the week, we should be back closer to normal, even slightly above, across a large part of the Corn Belt. That brings us to when our next round of precipitation may try to develop. It looks to me like we're still having to look at that 5th, 6th, 7th time frame. If you recall, late last week, we were still more toward the 4th and 5th, so the front that we've been seeing is still there. It's just being delayed a bit. We'll like it over the western Corn Belt, probably the 5th into the 6th, farther east than 6th into the 7th. We like rainfall totals out of this at 1/4 to 3/4 of an inch, maybe some local 1-inch areas out there, but it's going to be a slow mover. So, yes, some moisture the early part of next week. I think it'll be helpful. It'll probably also slow down harvest progress, at least just for a little bit. As you go longer term, we're not looking at any major wide-ranging frost over the Corn Belt here in the short term. Keep in mind normal first frost dates for places like central Illinois are right around the 15th, 16th of October. So we're not really calling for anything ahead of normal, but at the same time, we're not going to sit here and say beyond a shadow of a doubt that we go way past normal either. There's just nothing to talk about right now on the frost front. As we take a look internationally, we continue to see some fairly dry weather over Brazil, and I'm not seeing any models change this right now. We'd been hopeful that maybe one of these stronger rain events down in southern Brazil and Paraguay would hold together and move north. Now it's obvious that's not going to be happening here later this week into the weekend. Models right now are dry in some of these early plant bean areas like Mato Grosso, dry right on through the next 10 to 12 days, and we're going to have to hope for something to develop in the extended forecast period. Right now, we're leaning toward that probably not happening. When you get into these kind of patterns, it takes something fairly strong to make the pattern change. So now we're still probably looking at some delays, or at least slight delays, to planting in South America. Black Sea wheat areas are dry. Been talking about that for a couple of days, at least the market has. The way I look at it right now, we've got a couple of fronts that are going to be trying to move through there. The big question is, do they hold on to the moisture that we're seeing right now? I'd say moisture is going to be looking at probably a 50 to 60% coverage. Amounts are not spectacular, but it's not like we're turning the spigot off and getting absolutely nothing either. So this will be a story we need to watch in the days ahead. Otherwise, no significant issues. Oh, by the way, Australia still showing a chance of some scattered light rain showers toward the end of this week and weekend. In Western Australia, nothing anywhere else. That's the look at your forecast. If you've got any questions on the weather, give us a call at Allendale. I'm Chief Meteorologist Ryan Martin.